All right, so we're going to get started. It's 5 p.m. Friday, March 4th. Is it 4th today?
Yes, it is.
And it's Ernie Enns and Nigel Bart here running the episode 1 of 45 RPENNs. And this is a podcast based out of Carmen, Manitoba at the Golden Prairie Arts Council is where we're sitting. We are talking music, collecting, and everything in between, so which includes everything in life. So I'm going to just, in a few moments, I'm going to turn it over to Ernie. I want to thank all the people who are going to put this thing together and who've come together, especially Ernie, for being willing and interested in putting a little podcast together. So, yeah, that's about it from my end. And we're gonna treat this like a conversation, and we're just gonna talk for about 45 minutes. So that's about it.
All right. Yeah, no, it's great to be here, Nigel. Thanks, and thanks for setting this all up. This is a Nigel project type thing. But him and I, we talk about music a lot, and then he thought, well, maybe we should just do a podcast. And so here we are, sitting in GPAC, looking at all the beautiful wall hangings in the building and all that. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool place to be. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about all kinds of different music, and we're going to select particular 45s out of my collection. I'm not sure how long we're going to be doing that sort of thing, but I have a lot of 45s, so I could be doing it for quite a few weeks or months or years or however long this all takes us. So anyway, yeah. So if we want to get talking about 45s, basically there's kind of two parts to the 45. It's the record itself. I mean, it has a band and it has a producer and it has all this stuff. And the other side of it is the hunt. It's me personally looking for the record for decades and decades and decades, and sometimes up to, over 40 years. I hate to date myself, but over 40 years, some records I've looked for, and I have lots of records that give me that cold spot in my stomach. And the one we're going to talk about today is Painter. Painter had a song in 1973, and I can distinctly remember driving down the road and hearing this song. And I was driving, I can tell you the road, but it doesn't really matter. I know where I was. And listening to the song, and that particular day, I couldn't believe how good that song was. I fell in love with the song driving type thing, and I'd heard it several times before, so I really, really liked this song. So anyway, long story short, I couldn't find it. I couldn't get it at the record stores because it just did not exist, and it turned out to be so rare that it took me pretty much 79, 73. I'm just doing a little bit of math here. So it took me 6 years of looking in all the stores, and lo and behold, one day I was in Sam the Record Man. Can I say stuff like that?
Oh yeah, sure,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Sam the Record Man in Garden City in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Yeah.
And I was in there and looking through records like I always did. My wife would go and do her thing, and I'd always head for the record shops. And Sam the Record Man at Garden City was my favorite place to go for records at that time. So I'm in the store and I'm paging through the records like I always do, and I had a list. I have a list, or back then I had this long list of different stuff I always looked for. And of course, this Song for Sunshine, it was called, by Painter, was on top of that list. And so I'm paging through the records, and then, of course, I don't know what the album looks like or anything, but I see this record, I flip past it, and it's like, what was that? And for some reason, I went back, and I looked at it, and it says Painter on there. I said, it couldn't be, and I pulled it out, and the song I was looking for was called Sunshine. I didn't know that the actual title was Song for Sunshine. So that's when I learned that, when I saw that. But this is a band, Painter is a band out of, I believe they're out of Edmonton, or I'm not totally sure. They're Alberta anyway. They're an Alberta band. And later on, they changed their name to Hammersmith. So some of you may know Hammersmith. And they put out 2 albums as Hammersmith. But as Painter, they put out 1 album. But it's a good album. Like now when I look at it, or when I got it home and I listened to it, like it's really good. Like from first song to the end, it's a really good album. It's one of the best albums ever of all time. Never mind having my favorite song on there. So, I'll give some credits here. We got Elektra Records, and it's 1973. All songs are written by the members of Painter, published by Wet Paint Music, and then produced by Danny Lowe, Clean Air Productions. And Danny Lowe went on to, I think, he was in band Prototype in the 80s, the band Prototype. Yeah. He went on to play in that one. And so, I don't know what else I need to mention here, but members of the band, Danny Lowe, he's the producer here, he's the lead guitar. Doran Beatty, one of the greatest voices. I just love this guy's voice. He went on to sing country, and I'm not sure if he's still doing it or not. And then Wayne Morris, who I met in person. That's the bass player I talked to. And then Barry Allen, rhythm guitar and vocals. Of course, everybody knows the name Barry Allen because he had the song in early 70s, I believe, Wednesday in Your Garden. He sang that one on radio. It was a song, and I remember it was, I remember hearing it on radio. And then there's drums by Bob Eagle. I don't know who that is. But, So, and and years later, I did find this record eventually, and I took it home, and I listened to it, and the song was even better than I remembered it. Song for Sunshine, it was called. It was wonderful, so I had the record. So now I had that record, and then years later, I ended up finding the 45 on Discogs.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to have the 45, just because.
Yeah.
Not that it mattered much because I already had the album, and so now I had the 45 also, and it's very cool. It has all the.
That's a nice design on there, man.
It's got the Elektra, the worm coming out of the cocoon.
Yeah.
It's a really cool picture, and so.
Why don't we give it a spin? Play that song, and we'll continue talking after.
Yeah,
I'll give a snippet of the song.
I'll give you a snippet of the song, and in hopes that some of you recognize it and want to hear it, and then if so, feel free to contact me.
Yeah.
I would love to share some of this because it is really, really good music. Whether I'm allowed to do that or not, I don't know, type thing. But I love talking about records.
Give it a little spin here. Let's hear it.
But I'll give you a little taste of "Song for Sunshine," and it's on my number 1 record or music list. And this is what it sounds like. Here we go. This is Doran Beatty. This is Danny Lowe, Doran Beatty, Wayne Morris, Barry Allen, and Bob Eagle doing a song called "Song for Sunshine."
I see what you mean, Ernie. That's a total awesome song. I love it, man. I love it.
Just everything, the guitars, the voice, and if you listen to the words, like now, that came out in 73, so now it's almost 50 years later, and not very long ago, maybe last year or the year before, I'm listening to the song, and I actually listen to the lyrics now, because for me, for the most part, I listen to the song just in its entirety, it's because it's a unit. But I actually listen to the lyrics, and I try to figure them out. It could be a gospel song if you listen to the lyrics. Yeah. Cool. You think it's a love song, but if you really listen close, it could be a gospel song. So I'm not totally sure what it is, but great song anyway.
It's cool.
Yeah, and so
good choice for a first.
It's
a first song there.
Yeah, in the songs of all time, for me, like all my favorite songs, it's definitely in the top 5.
Well, I can see why.
It's right
like,
up there.
It's one of those. And it's so well produced. You can hear every single layer, like the bass, all the way up to the high trebles. Like it's super nice.
Yeah, I think Danny Lowe actually did go on to do some. I have all kinds of information on the band too.
Give us some.
Okay, and here's some stuff I found on the internet, just further information from what I had, and talks about in 49th Parallel. That's a band too.
I know them.
Okay, yeah, they had a song called what was it called? Twilight Woman? Is that it? The one? I think so. Anyway, Danny Lowe saw the band he founded with Dennis Abbott lose momentum after Abbott's departure following the release of its one and only album in '69. So he's talking about 49th Parallel here. Doran Beatty replaced Abbott with a new lineup of Beatty, Lowe, Jack Velker, Dave Downey, and Terry Bear, and they began working on another album, which was never completed, but the single I Need You did surface in 1970. So there you go. There's another one to look for, hey?
Yeah.
You know, I Need You by, I'm not sure what name did they go by, because they talked about the 49th Parallel here, but anyway, keyboardist Velker would quit and was replaced with Barry Allen, and we know Barry Allen from he had his own songs out. All Downey and Bear replaced Roden Morris, whom I met, and I'll tell you that story too. Met him in person. They replaced the bass and Bob Hugo, the drummer. Eventually, the band changed its name to Painter. So 49th Parallel became Painter. I did not realize that till right now. Yeah, it's interesting here. And released one single with London to no success. And then they signed with Randy Bachman's Molten Records, where they released a 1972 single Daybreak that did not chart. And I think I have that 45 too, Daybreak.
Right.
And I have it on Molten Records. Yeah, I do have it. Yeah. I forgot about it, but I do have it. So Painter recorded their self-titled LP in Seattle, which spawned one top 20 charting single, which was West Coast Woman, which is the very first song on the album. It's West Coast Woman. See?
Nice.
On Elektra in 1973. So Song for Sunshine didn't even chart. Well,
really?
Not in the top 20, it didn't.
I have a question, like, just to ask, how do they choose the charting song? Like, you're big into charting,
Charts, yeah,
like charts, and like, how do they, like, is it, I mean, this might sound like a real naive question, but in the radio world, how do they choose number one hits, or like the second, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it essentially goes by a number of things. It goes requests, like there used to be DJs on the radio and play these songs, and the DJs would play this song. Yeah. And the amount of requests it gets, the amount of sales it does. So all these different things factor in, which takes it up and up on the charts.
That would be in today's world, it'd be like likes.
I don't know.
Well,
in today's
world,
it's
relative. It would be like a hit on the internet, like a play.
Yeah, I guess.
It's totally the same thing.
I guess it would be. See, I don't know much about any of that stuff.
No.
Radio, like the AM radio from my era, and that's kind of how it worked, was requests.
That's
and
cool,
you know,
though.
and the DJs, they had so much power as far as making a song a hit or whatever. Thing, because I remember years ago I phoned a radio station and I requested the song Jackie Blue by Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Yeah. Because it just came out on the radio, so this must have been 1975, 74 probably, 74, Jackie Blue by Ozark Mountain Daredevils. So I phoned the radio station, and I said to the guy, I said, I'd like to request the song. Actually, I said Johnny Blue, and he says, you mean Jackie Blue? And I said, yeah, Jackie Blue. And so he says, okay, he says, would you like to be on radio? That's what he said to me. Oh. And I said, oh, yeah, of course you would. Right? It's awesome. So he said, okay, he says, okay, just stay on the line. He says, when I come back, I'm going to ask you what song you want to hear. And then he said, you're going to say what's the name of that song by Player? The band was called Player. It was a song by Player anyway. He said, "You're going to say that song."
Oh, wow.
So these guys had a lot of power, and they'd push their own agenda, I guess. Like, I'm just guessing, but why else would he say that to me? And so when I came back on, he asked me, hey, I'm talking to Ernie here on the radio, and what song would you like to hear, Ernie? And I said, well, I'd like to hear Baby Come Back. That's what it's called. I said, I want to hear Baby Come Back by Player.
Yeah.
And so he says, all right, we're going to do that. Thanks very much for your request. And then the song has already started,
Yeah.
Because it starts as he comes talking to me.
Right.
And so that's how that works. But it essentially went by requests and sales, that sort of thing.
Cool, man.
Yeah, that's how it all worked. And so the Randy Bachman Daybreak song did not chart. And if I remember right, Song for Sunshine made it to 68 or something like that on the top 100. And that's as far as it got.
Okay.
Or 78 or something like that, I forget. So, but West Coast Woman, it spawned one top 20 charting single, West Coast Woman, on Elektra in 1973. And follow-up singles were Going Home to Rock and Roll, and that's the last song on this album. Going Home to Rock and Roll. And it's almost a 9-minute song, and it's worth every second. It is worth every second. You should hear it. It's just a wonderful song. And that album is just really good. I know you can never find it. Like, whoever's listening out there, you'll never find this record anywhere. Yeah. But it's worth a lot. It's a great album. And what else does it say? And Song for Sunshine. Oh yeah, it talks about Song for Sunshine failed to ignite the charts, after which Beattie and Lowe renamed the group again as Hammersmith. So because Song for Sunshine didn't do anything, they changed their name to Hammersmith. So Hammersmith managed 2 albums for Mercury, Hammersmith 1974 and It's For You 1976. Mercury dropped the band in 77. Beattie quit to join All the Rage in Paris. And in recent years, I never heard of them. Have you?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
All the Rage in Paris?
Yeah.
So that was just Beattie, great voice. And in recent years has become a successful country singer. So, but this is an old...
There's quite a history there.
Yeah, this is an old, I don't know how old this goes back, so when it said in recent years, I don't know what that means. So. Yeah. But Lowe continued on with Hammersmith, 451 degrees.
Oh.
Prototype, that's what I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Before becoming a successful producer and inventor of Q Sound. You know what that is? I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that is. So
yeah, it's like a digital thing.
A Q Sound is a stereo enhanced process that has been used on albums by such artists as Madonna and Pink Floyd. So that's quite a credit he's got to him himself.
Yeah.
But a great guitar player too. Yeah. What notes these notes are from Bill Munson, Bob Ego, and Norm Bright. And so that's essentially the history of Painter. But the bottom line is fantastic music. To me, it's one of those bands that puts up one album that is just fantastic. Like another band would be Moo Jaw Jaw. Ever heard of them? Mm-hmm. Moo Jaw Jaw to Winnipeg. They put out one album.
Really?
Greg Gillespie's band. Yeah.
They call those sort of the one-hit wonder band sort of things.
They had an album out too, and it was also as good as this. Maybe not quite.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's great.
Comes together. Why don't you play another tune? Are you going to move on to another one?
We can.
Did you have one prepared?
We can.
I figure we do another one.
I can pull another one out, but
what time we got here?
We'll play.
We still got a bit of time. It's only 20.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to play another song off here. The only song that actually charted. There's a song called West Coast Woman, which is also a great song. And I should do a little piece of Going Down the Road.
Go for it.
Oh, I don't have it on here though.
Oh. Well, play what you got.
I don't know if I have West Coast Woman on here either, because what I have on my phone is AM radio songs.
Yeah.
And so if this wouldn't have charted, I wouldn't have it on here. I can.
Why don't you play another one, just a random one, to segue into the next album while you search for your next album.
Oh, okay.
We'll just play one, and we'll let it run for a bit, one song.
Okay.
And then you search for.
Okay, so we can. Yeah, so that's Painter. One of my favorite songs and bands, and I'd like to tell a little story about meeting. What was his name again? Wayne Morris. Years after I found the album, and now I was already in my family life. I was married, and I had kids and all that stuff, and I heard Painter was coming to Portage la Prairie, which is an hour away from here. Painter was coming to the Albion Hotel, playing live, and so I thought, that can't be. Like, Painter, that's so many years ago. So this would have been well in the 80s, would have been, let's say, early to mid 80s somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I thought, could it really be Painter? But anyway, I found out it was actually Painter coming to the Albion, and the Albion was the kind of place that you didn't go into.
Yeah.
You didn't go into nobody went there because it was very, very rough. And me not being a bar person at all, I never go to bars. It's something I just don't do.
Right.
But I am a music person. So
yeah.
So I hear that they're playing. So I tell myself, I don't care. I'm going.
No,
so
nice.
So it was a week evening, and excuse me. So I jumped in my car and drove to Portage la Prairie. Parked my car, walked into the album like I owned the place. And I sat down and I ordered a beer. I looked on stage and I recognized the guys from my album, from that album. I recognized some of them.
Oh, wow.
This guy, Dorn Beatty was not there. The singer was not there, but these guys were all there.
Oh, wow.
I'm not totally sure if the drummer was the same. I think so. I think they're all there except this Dorn Beatty. They didn't have their main singer along. So anyway, they did their set. Oh, and that's another thing too. They played a song called "I'm Guilty," which I have searched for ever since. So technically, I haven't found all the songs that I've always wanted. But at that show, they played a song called "Not Guilty," and I wrote it down. And I think that's what it was called because you listen to the song and you kind of figure out that's what it's called. So anyway, so when the intermission came, I went over to one of the guys that was most approachable. Maybe he was the closest, or maybe he wasn't talking to anybody at the time or something. For some reason, I walked to that guy and I talked to him. And so I was just like so nervous, and I'm talking to this guy from this band that I've always just loved. And so it was really awesome, special to meet this guy. And I said, do you do the Song for Sunshine? He says, we don't anymore because we have a different lead singer now. So they had another guy replace him, and they had a different singer.
Put the other
so they didn't do that song anymore.
And it's probably because of the whole album copyrights and stuff. Like they would have.
Maybe. I don't know.
As soon as it's like a lot of times when a band shifts gears, like they get a new singer, they often can't actually sing a song they used to play. It's ridiculous, but in public,
Yeah, I guess
so.
so.
Something that they can't do.
I'm looking at the actual songwriter on the 45, and it's Painter.
That's Painter there, yeah.
So it's the band.
Still the band.
So so the whole band kind of wrote that song. So
I guess it would be like it'd be like the Beatles trying to sing a song without. That's Hey Jude without.
Yeah, well, with a voice like he had, it would have been a tough song.
It would have been tough.
Would have been tough because that's a great song. So anyway, that's my little story about meeting, one of the members of Painter and just having the record and So that's essentially what we want to do with a lot of 45s.
Yeah, we're gonna. So this will be a little segue here. The plan here, I was thinking we could either jump to another 45 or, because I kind of caught you off guard, I think, but we could also just sort of talk about like some stories about Painter, but a few more stories, and just see where the conversation goes. Just let her until it kind of we kind of like mine it out a bit until it's kind of. We could keep like talking a bit about Painter and just stories about collecting maybe and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know. Like with Painter, I mean, it's one and done. Like as far as like
Yeah.
the one album, I got the 45 off it. There's also a 45 West Coast Woman, which I have.
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So I'm not sure what else I can tell you.
Well, I have
about
a few questions for you. How about I ask a few questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
At this point, like you, and also like being a collector is, collectors are, kind of like a unique sort of species, right? Like collectors are sort of one of a kind people, and well, I mean, collectors are, it's like artists, but it's a different sort of. Tell me a bit what collecting means to you, like being a collector.
Being a collector, I don't know. Like I know lots of guys that are like real collectors compared to me. I mean, I collect small time. Like my 45s, I probably have less than 1,000 45s, and albums I probably have less than 1,000 albums, and I know guys that have 35,000
Oh my
45s
gosh.
in their basement,
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
this. And so I'm just a small time collector. I collect all these really cool certain songs. I don't collect for resale,
Yeah.
even though I may sell them someday. Like who knows? But I don't collect for resale. But I've collected a lot of stuff that has been given to me because living in a small town, people know that you do this sort of thing. So you get boxes brought to you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, boxes of albums and 8-tracks and cassettes.
Benefits of living in
a small
rural
town. Yeah.
rural setting.
Yeah, and so someday maybe I'll do the selling thing. I'll go to a record show and sell stuff, or maybe go online or something.
Yeah.
But my highest prize records and all that, I'm not sure if I'll ever sell them, and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
But
And what is that? I think what is the, you talk about the cold pit in your stomach when that, like,
yeah.
what is that grabbing you when you, it's almost like, what is it? Like, when you win the lottery, sort of like,
Well,
explain that a little bit.
Okay, I was just looking through here some more information on 45s, and this one here is sitting right in front. This is another cold spot in the stomach song.
Yeah.
Right here. I'll see if I can find the 45 and.
Okay, you find that. I'm gonna grab us some more coffee, Ernie.
Yeah, grab some coffee. I'll see if I can go through here and find another.
Off your phone if you like while you search for it.
I could. I'll play you a little piece of that song while I'm looking for the 45.
Got some more?
Yeah,
Top
please.
up? There you
Yeah,
go.
please.
I'm just gonna shut the open side off of the door. We might have some company right away. Just in case. I'll shut
Okay, here we go. I'll give you a little bit of an intro to it. This is Sea Dog. I believe they're a Toronto band, recording artist, hometown London, Ontario. And so a lot of this stuff I do will be kind of obscure Canadian bands, and thanks to CRTC, the government making rules back in whatever years it was about playing 30% Canadian content. And I'm very thankful for that, because all this great Canadian music we would have never heard.
Yeah, it wouldn't have got recorded. It wouldn't have got played. It just wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have got played. That's right. Everybody would have been, it wouldn't have sold. So, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so this is a band called Sea Dog from, where did I say? From hometown London, Ontario. And I'll give you some names later. And this, too, is one of my cold spot in the stomach songs. This is a great song. It's called Holding Your Hand. Okay, there you go.
There you go. We're here with Ernie Enns and Nigel Bart, 45 RPENS. We're new podcast, brand new on the scene, and we are talking 45s, albums, music from the era of what do you call that era? The 70s, 60s.
Yeah,
and
most of my stuff is early 70s. Yeah.
This particular genre, like whatever podcast we're dealing with, like we talked about Painter, and what are we going to look at now here?
Next one we're going to look at, and these songs will all be essentially from early 70s. I mean, put it this way, I was 17 in 71, and so the influential years of my music would have been late 60s to mid 70s type thing. So most of these records are from then. And the next song we're looking at here, you just heard it there, it's Hold in Your Hand by Sea Dog, written by Doug Varty, whom I've done a little bit of research on. And another struggling Canadian band.
Where was this one from? You're probably going to get to that, but
these guys were from London, Ontario.
Oh yeah.
And okay, I'll give you a little bit of information here on the 45. It's produced by Ralph Murphy, written by Doug Varty, and it's Much label, which Winterly Music, and if a few of these records actually. No, not this one. It's a different record I'm thinking of. But the Much label, I believe, was owned by Chum Radio.
Oh yeah.
In Toronto. They own that. So, and this song is also 73, same as the last one we just looked at, the song for Sunshine. So, and
I'm gonna throw up a few photos of these gems, these 45s onto the podcast, so people will actually see what we're seeing. You'll see a photo of the 45 RPN team here, and you'll see some other stuff. I'll throw photos up with that podcast, so it's all good.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, because they're great looking 45s. We're talking about that. One of my favorite labels just to look at is Much.
Yeah, they're
Much, and I like Franklin, and I love Nimbus 9, like the Guess Who Nimbus 9. But this is one of my favorites, Much.
Yeah, they're works of art, is what they are.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the albums themselves are just like.
Yeah, well, even the 45s, like. It's just a very pretty.
And you put stuff on, like you print shirts with sort of like. We'll get into that, but I want to talk more about that after.
Yeah.
Like when last few minutes, we'll talk about that.
I'm pretty deep into the music stuff.
That's good.
In all areas.
It's like it's a philosophy of life, or like a.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great hobby, is what it
way
is.
Of life,
I do carpentry for a living.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do carpentry for a living, and that's what I do, and I enjoy that. But my hobby and my relaxed time is music in all sectors of it, like songwriting, playing in a band, and collecting records, and just plain listening to music when I'm driving down the highway. And one of my favorite things to do is wife and I go driving in my classic car. And I turn on these songs that we're going to be talking about, and I listen to these songs as I'm driving.
Very
nice. It's wonderful, and that's what music is, right? Music is made for the purpose of somebody's enjoyment, and and so if these songs, if nobody else knows them, I get the enjoyment out of it. That means that song was written and recorded and sung for me.
Yeah,
and whoever else loves them,
That's very insightful.
Yeah. So a little bit of. Okay, this is Sea Dog. Bass is Brian Kirkwood. Bass and vocals is Brian Kirkwood. Drums and vocals is Jim Norris. Organ, piano, vocals, John Redman. Piano, organ, vocals, Doug Varty. He's the guy that wrote the song. And guitars and vocal is Paul Weston. And
I have a quick question for you
regarding
all these musicians. How, like at this time, what would you say, like the importance or relevance of knowing who is in the scene and like these players? Like this has been a Canadian scene. And so there's tons of crossover happening. So it's like you got to know who's in the industry at the time. And so what are your thoughts on that?
Well, just when, you know, all these records being obscure Canadian bands, and some of those bands are not obscure, and these guys come from there, but the way they move around, and I can't tell you examples of it, but the same names keep popping up in all these different bands. The same guys are in all these bands, switching around back and forth, and all the way from East Coast to the West Coast, and the same names keep popping up. So these guys, they change bands, and then all of a sudden they'll have a hit record or success on the road or whatever. But even Sea Dog, I have found on the internet. I found pictures of live in concert, Winnipeg Arena.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
So they played in here in 72, I believe, that Sea Dog was in Winnipeg, and they were a big hit. Somewhere here it said at one time they were Ontario's greatest band. They were the best band in Ontario.
Wow.
Now, I don't know where it said it here. I'll read what it says here. Sudbury group Taxi relocated to Toronto in 1968, where they changed their name to the Tote Family, and they released 2 singles. After not being able to catch any chart action, the band dissolved. Several members carried on, and they would eventually grab keyboardist Varty and former Magic Bubble member Kirkwood to put a new act together under the name Sea Dog. The group signed with Chum Radio, and so you see the Much label there on the 45. Chum Radio's Much record label in 1973, and began releasing singles, eventually culminating in an LP in 1974. And excuse me, I have a Sea Dog album, but the album I have doesn't have that song on it. So, and it talks about Doug Varty, the writer of that song, has been very successful solo performer and recording artist in hometown of London, Ontario. Jim Norris would go on to be the publisher of Canadian Musician magazine. Interesting, and it looks like they released like 7 singles, and one of them, and I found that song interesting enough. I found this song. Just can I talk about how I found this?
Yeah,
song?
man. Yeah. I'm just observing some action out the window, actually.
Oh, okay.
Behind you, there's something distracting going on the street here.
Nice.
I don't know. I think someone lost their dog or something. Anyways,
yeah.
Sorry, Ernie. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just my eyes were drifting in behind you. I wasn't ignoring.
No, that's cool because
There's
we've
like
got-
something going
we got a
on.
street right behind us here, so there's always
Busiest
something going
action
on.
in town.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, the 45, which I found, and there's a little story behind this, how I found this, and I talked about earlier about this cold spot in the stomach. This was another real, and I would go to the Sound Exchange in Winnipeg. I think they're on the corner of Spence and Portage Avenue. I don't know if they're still there. I haven't been there for a long time. And I'd go in there every so often, and I'd go through, and I'd have my little list along. Like here I have these little booklets that I had for lists.
Those are awesome, man.
I know, these are all original.
That's like historic.
There it is, holding your hand right there.
Wow, man.
Sea Dog, yeah. And
it's all cross oxy. Got it. You
yeah.
got
See,
it.
I haven't stroked that one off. See, these already got put aside.
You thought you were done collecting. You haven't yet.
So many years later,
Yeah.
I found these records, and I had forgot about these books, so some of these never got crossed off. That's interesting. I'm just noticing.
Yeah, I'm gonna photograph those. Leave those out. I'm gonna take a shot of them. Like,
And so,
just how cool this.
so
this
anyway,
stuff
I
is,
go
yeah.
in to talk to, and I forget the guy's name. It was a father and son that ran it, and the young guy was there. The son was there. And I'd say, or I'd look for a letter. I'd always pick a letter R, or this particular day I picked the letter S. And he had 3 boxes, I believe, of 45s, and each box had about 3 rows of 45s in it. The box is about 2 feet square or something, so it was a lot of records.
Yeah.
Excuse me. A lot of records. And so I started going through them like this and this and
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And of course, box 1.
Let's get you some water.
I
Yeah,
can be-
keep going.
And then, so I went through box 1 and put it back and then hauled it the other one. And he allowed me to take it and set it up on something so I could look at it properly. And so I went through box 2. And then eventually I put that back. And so by this time you're getting pretty sore, you know, and being in that position. And thanks.
Yeah.
So.
And what was the outcome? I missed that.
And so anyway, now I got to box 3 and then I'm going through it. And I can't remember if it was the last record or the second last.
Oh my God, that's just too much suspense, man.
I am not kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
And I'm
that's
thinking
too
to myself,
weird, man.
why didn't I start at that? Anyway, I get to the end of the third box and I pull out this record like this, and it says "Holding Your Hand" by Sea Dog, and that was like.
That's
right
like finding
top.
the love of your life.
I found the love of my music life.
That's right,
Yeah,
man.
I
And it's
did.
like how many times that happened in a lifetime.
I know, and so it was a very special moment. And Sound Exchange didn't have, because of all these boxes of records, they didn't have a price on them. He would basically price them in the shape they're in, you know, when you brought them up front. And so here I'm holding this record, not trying to look excited because then the price goes up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's right. The tips, eh? It's like,
and I'm almost shaking. It's like, I can't believe I found this. Like, I can't believe I like records that much, you know. You know, times now when I think back, but I was just so happy to find that. So I took it to the front, and I don't know what he charged me for it, and it was very, very cheap. It was very cheap, like $3.
Oh, yeah.
$3 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
So I bought that record. And
Nice, man.
And years later, I found it again on Discogs. And so I thought, I'm going to get another copy of it because it's there. And because it's so rare, I'd like to have another copy.
Yeah,
and on the other copy, which is in here somewhere, I don't know where, it's Holding Your Hands. It's spelled with S on the end. This was
that's so strange.
Yeah, the original one is Holding Your Hand, and then this
must have been a typo.
I don't
album,
know.
the producers.
I don't know because
that album.
Because when this record didn't do very good, or whatever, the record label wanted to drop them, it was picked up by Sweet Plum Records.
Oh.
And I have that one somewhere too. And on Sweet Plum Records, it's called Holding Your Hands.
So weird.
Yet this one's called Holding Your Hand. If you listen to the song,
special edition.
Well, if you listen to the song, it's Holding Your Hand.
Yeah.
So I think this is proper, but I'm not sure.
Very good. Very good.
I think.
This is really cool. Really cool stuff. We're gonna wind her up right away.
Okay.
I want to thank Ernie for giving his educational, his passion for music for the past 45 minutes. And I wish everyone a good night, Friday night, and hope you search some of these albums up. You have any last comments, Ernie?
45s for 45 minutes.
That's right, man. Yeah, and we're going to carry this tradition on. Start a tradition. All right, peace, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, good night.